Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Mahima, and I'm a part of the engagement marketing team at Hero Wire, and I'm your host for today. I will be starting this webinar by telling you a little about the Hero Wire platform. So, Hero Wire is a virtual education company which is a part of the Hero Group. Hero Wire is basically on a mission to not only reimagine the way we learn, but also to build a better and a brighter future. We are here to equip our learners with knowledge, skills, and expertise that they need to find success. So, today we are presenting a webinar on the topic Decoding Cricket Team Strategies Using Python for Data Science by Anjana Agrawal. Welcome, Anjana. A little about Miss Anjana. So, Anjana comes with a diverse career spanning 30 plus years of a business leader, strategist, management consultant, and program director. She has led large and complex transformational programs, delivering strong business outcomes for multiple clients across geographies, leveraging data, technology, descriptive, and predictive analytics. Ms. Anjana has served and led key positions in organizations like Max Bupa Health Insurance, United Health Group, IBM, and currently she is leading the industry by example as an entrepreneur and business evangelist, where she aims at providing key business solutions to clients across the globe. Welcome, Anjana.
Thank
Moving
you,
forward
Mahima.
with the moving forward with the webinar, if anybody has any questions during the presentation, please feel free in order to put down your questions in the Q&A section rather than putting into the chat box, as it might get skipped in the chat box. Without any further ado, over to you, Anjana.
Thank you, Mahima. Welcome all. I hope all of you are able to see my screen. As Mahima has briefed us, we would be talking about that how can we look at a data set and use the data points and use the features which are given there to define the strategies which could be useful for the cricket team. Okay. What I'll try to do here, as we spoke about, is I'll give you a little brief about what exactly a data science is. Why do we say data science nowadays has become probably a buzzword? Why is it mandatory? How do you really use data science to solve a business problem? And what exactly you can do, or when you get into a data science domain, how does your career really looks like? Okay? Why is data science important? I'm sure all of you would have heard data science as a term multiple times. There's nothing new about it. What I will just try to share with you is my perspective, the way I look at a data science. Data science, according to me, is nothing but a culmination of something which we call it as computer science or NIT, maths and statistics, and domain and business knowledge. So when I say there is a little part of computer science and an IT, by no means I'm making a statement that you necessarily need to have an IT background to become a data science specialist. What I'm trying to say here is for you to be able to write down a code, for you to be able to get insight from the data set, or develop certain algorithms or apply these algorithms to do what we call it as a prediction or a forecasting, you really need a platform. And today, by default, Python has become a de facto standard. So Python, we generally do not call it as a language, we call it as a platform because it allows you to write down a code which is in an English form, and it's very, very simple to write it down. Okay? The second part of a data science, or the second leg for a data science, is math and statistics, wherein you exactly get to know what algorithm does it, or what are the techniques which are available, or what really goes behind the scene in terms of these mathematical equations or the algorithms through which you are able to do a prediction. So we as a data science, we get to learn about how these algorithms are working. So that's why understanding of the statistics part of it becomes a little important. As per my view, the most important and the differentiating factor between two data scientists is domain or a business knowledge. Unless I really understand what data has to tell me, unless I really understand why a specific feature or why a specific field or a variable has been captured by the organization from a business perspective, I will not be able to do a justice to the data set. I will not be able to generate insights through which I can give out anything which is beneficial for a business. So, from my perspective, out of these three legs, domain and a business knowledge is very, very important. That's where probably you would have heard a term that data science is not a science, it's an art. How well you are able to read the data, how effectively you are able to apply the domain understanding is what differentiates one individual or a one data scientist from other. The fact that it does not require anything to have anybody to have an IT kind of a background, or you necessarily need not be a computer science engineer or an IT engineer. That's what probably people they feel like. Based on my experience, I can clearly say if you understand the domain, understanding or learning Python as a platform, or understanding the statistics part of it, which really tells you how these algorithms behave, is not very difficult. So, three important legs for a data science, which is understanding the platform, understanding the statistics, and a domain. Why data science is very important. Now, these are certain facts and figures which I have picked up from the internet, and I'm sure you probably would have figures which are much more than this, right? What I really want to share with you is a background that why data science has become very important. Over a period of time, every organization, every industry has really collected a lot of data. And that's what we call it as a digital age. So we have every organization and every domain, they have a lot of historical data which is available to them. Now there is a need that I should be able to take out this historical data, analyze it, and understand what has happened in the past. And based on that understanding, can I do some kind of a forecasting? Can I understand what might just happen in future, based on which I can align the organization risk, or I can align the organization appetite to take through the risk in a little better way. Okay? So the fact that you have a lot of data which is available in a digital form really makes it useful that every industry and every domain is now moving on to data science. You might have heard that probably people in the financial background or people in the telecommunication industry or retail and marketing are the only industries that are using data science. I just want to share with you based on my experience that it's not true. Every industry which is using it, the fact that they have the data, the fact that they have got digital form of a data, that's make them that yes, they are actually using the data to understand what has happened in the past. The second aspects which has really made data science as a buzzword now is in in addition to the structured form of a data, which means you have the data available or arranged in the form of rows and columns, we have a lot of unstructured data which is being generated. If you talk about the data which we are sharing through the WhatsApp or a Facebook or a Instagram or a Twitter, now, this unstructured data in the form of a text or a video or anything as audio has become an integral part of any organization for them to be able to make a decision. Okay. So these numbers or these statistics which you are looking at, which says 137,000 data science jobs opening in India, the data analytics market is expected to grow much, much more than what you are able to see right now. And based on the requirement, based on what organization are looking at, there are a lot of job opportunities which you get to see as far as the data science is concerned. So hence, why do we learn data science? There are more job opportunities. There are higher growth opportunities which you have it. There is a best ROI, which is a return of investment. And all this is happening because the industry is looking for some good skills who can actually read the data which they have it and generate the insights so that business can accordingly decide on their actions. Okay. Now, with this as a background, wherein we know what exactly a data science is, we understand why data science is very important. Why do we say it is being used by every industry? Let's just pick up a simple data set and see what kind of insights can I generate it. Now, before I do that, there are certain steps which we really go through whenever we get hold of any data set, irrespective of the fact that whether I am really looking at a data set to generate insights, or am I looking at a data set to be able to probably do any kind of a prediction or a forecasting? The first and the foremost step is to analyze the dirty data. The word dirty here really means that you have some errors in the data. When the data was captured, then there are certain errors which could have happened unintentionally or intentionally through the manual entry or through the programs which have been created. If there was any bug, then there are certain errors which happens. Now, unless I am able to understand what the data set is all about, I will not be able to correct the data. So the first and the foremost step is, based on a business understanding, we go ahead, analyze the data points, analyze the features which is given it to us, and we correct that data. That's where we call it as doing a pre-processing of a data or cleaning the data. The second and probably the most important step in the entire data science cycle is the exploratory data analysis. We use a word EDA, wherein we look at every feature, we look at every combination of a feature and see what these features are telling me. When I go ahead and look at the case study, I will keep this in my mind whenever I'm exploring the data set. Then we apply some statistical visualization libraries so that you are able to visually look at these insights. As you are already aware, picture can speak much more than the data points which are available. So that's where we as data scientists try to represent most of the information in the form of a visual representation in the form of a bar chart or a graphs or a histogram, things like that. The most important aspect is that once you have created these visualizations, once you have done the exploratory data analysis, we should be able to draw inferences. Interpretation of what you are able to see is very important for us to understand what exactly the data has to tell us. Okay, so that's what is wherein the domain knowledge or a domain understanding really comes into a play. Okay. So what is the data set which I have selected? This data set which I have selected is from a cricket background. The reason why this specific domain was selected, because all of us are probably quite used to and quite familiar with the fact that how cricket really works, what are the data points which are available in the cricket. So that's where this specific data set has been picked up. Now, what is the problem statement? Ever since its inception, cricket has developed many folds. The world has seen many variants of the game. Test cricket to begin with, then one day international, and recently T20 cricket. Due to the shortest format, T20 cricket has been adopted by many cricket leagues around the world, IPL being the biggest of them. The Indian Premier League is a professional T20 cricket league in India that is usually contested between March and May of every year by 8 teams representing 8 different cities or states in India. Cricketers are accompanied by a team of coaches, support staff, and data scientists as well. So it's very important to understand that data scientists are also part of the team, which is actually being formulated in terms of the IPL staff. These data scientists work upon the large chunk of data generated every match and inform coaches, captains, and team management about the meaningful insights. Let us assume that you are one of the data scientists associated with Chennai Super Kings team. Your job in today's session is to derive those meaningful insights from the IPL data and provide actionable insights to the player and coaches so that they can perform well in the upcoming sessions. Okay. So what I'll do is I will quickly take you through the data set which I have it and see that what kind of insights am I able to generate from there. So this is what the data set is. I will just ensure that you're able to see my screen. So this is an Excel file of a data set, right? I'm sure there are a lot of insights which all of you would have been able to extract from the data set, people who are comfortable from an Excel. And I'll just show you how, along with the Excel, if I use Python as a platform, we are able to generate some more insights. So just let's spend 10 minutes on the data set, okay? Because it's very important whenever you get hold of a data set, you need to understand what data set has to tell you. So what is the data set all about? It's an ID. It's nothing but a running number, which means it's a unique number through which I'm able to differentiate different records. Season. So as we are talking about an IPL data, so this season talks about the season in which the match was played. City, where the match was played. date on which the match was played, which was the team one, which was the team two, who was the toss winner, what was the decision of a toss, what was the result, which means what was the result of the match? Was it a normal finish or because of some unforeseen circumstances, they had to apply a technique which is known as a DL apply. Who was the winner? By how many runs they won it, by how many wickets they won it, who was identified as the player of the match, venue of the match, Empire 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Now, when I'm looking at this data set from a domain perspective, there are a lot of things which comes into my mind. So now what the problem statement is, consider yourself as a CSK or a Chennai Super King team captain. And when you are looking at this data set, you would really like to know that does the winning the toss makes a difference? Does my decision in terms of if I won the toss, should I play or should I bat or should I field? Does that make a difference in terms of my winning it? Okay. How many times Chennai Super King was a winner? Who is the most difficult opponent? Okay. Where exactly I need to place my team members who are really doing well? Who has been declared multiple times as the player of the match? Does venue really makes a difference? Does empire really make a difference in terms of a team winning it? On an average, by how many runs was my team able to win the match? On an average, by how many wickets was my team able to win the match? So there are a lot of points which comes to our mind when we need to analyze the data. Okay. Now, why are we able to raise these queries, or on what basis are we able to raise these queries? Because we have an understanding of the domain, right? All these queries, they come from a domain. Cricket being so close to us, we don't even realize it that these kind of a queries or these kind of a statements which are making, they come from a domain understanding. So the first and the foremost thing is spend some time in on the data, understand what are the features which are available and what each feature has to tell you. Now what I'll do is I will take you on to a Python platform. Before I really start working on this platform, I just want to highlight a couple of things as far as the Python as a platform is concerned. Python is an open platform. When I say an open platform, which means based on my operating system, I can easily go and download this software. Once this is downloaded, then you can easily execute it. The environment which I'm showing you is a Windows environment. Now, when you execute this file, it's an executable which can be installed like any other application. What you're able to see here is a notebook. Okay. So this, what is a notebook? Notebook is like a blackboard wherein I start writing down the code. Now, what you are able to see here is each cell, right? So this is what is a cell. So you can have a cell wherein you write down a code which needs to be executed. When I say a code means there are certain libraries which are available in Python as an environment. And when I write down the code, this code passes through those libraries and gets executed. Or I can use a cell for writing down certain comments. Okay? So there are two different kind of a cells which you have it. Python is an interpreter. What do I mean by that? Every line of a code which gets executed, which means the execution happens line by line. So what you need to do is whenever you open the environment or whenever you open the Python as a platform, the first time when you open it, it's a blank notebook which is available. What you're able to see is a notebook wherein I have written down certain codes. Okay. This is a very user-friendly environment. This menu, which you're able to look at it, has the options which are very similar to any other application like a Excel or a PowerPoint or a Word, which you would have seen it. As I move along, I will try to just explain you a couple of them, but I would like to spend more time in terms of understanding the Python as a platform and generating some insights. There are certain libraries which are important in terms of us to be able to run anything on a Python. Whenever I'm talking about the libraries, there are two aspects to it. One, when you install Jupyter as a notebook, or when you have installed Anaconda, these libraries are made available to you, which means on my system, I have the libraries available. This is the step number one. Step number two is I need to make these libraries available for my environment, which means when I open a Jupyter notebook, I need to ensure that these libraries are available for that Jupyter notebook. That's where I use the command which is import. Now in Python, there are whenever you're writing down the commands, these commands, because there are some inbuilt functions which are using it, you are using certain keywords which are with the Python. So you will get the code in a color form. So when you are able to see here is an import, because import is a reserved word with Python, it appears in a green color. Pandas is the name of the file library. As PD means I am giving a alias to a pandas library. Why am I doing that? Because whenever I want to refer to any function which is available in a pandas library, rather than specifying pandas as a complete name, I can probably just use PD and I would be able to upload the file. Okay. When I say import pandas as PD, what have I done? I have made pandas available in my notebook, right, in my environment. This pandas is a library which is useful to handle a data frame. Data frame is what? Something very similar to like an Excel sheet wherein you have a data in the form of rows and columns. NumPy, NumPy is another library which is used for numerical processing, which means any kind of a mathematical processing which I do it, all the functions which are used for that is what are available in a NumPy library. So these two libraries are useful from a data processing perspective. Then I have certain libraries which are used from a visualization perspective. Two important libraries, which is a matplotlib and a seaborn. The difference between the two libraries is in terms of the functions which are available. Matplotlib was a little older library. So let's assume if I want to make a histogram, I have a function available in a Matplotlib library, but the number of options or the parameters or the arguments which I can provide to a histogram function would be limited in a Matplotlib. Okay. So I've import pandas as PD, NumPy as NP, Matplotlib as, and I'm importing a sub package within a Matplotlib, which is a PyPlot as a PLT and a Seaborn as an SNS. There are certain other commands which you are able to see here. These are just the settings which we do from an environment perspective. Okay. So like here I have set PLT style use, which means I want to use all the chart style as a Seaborn. Then I have set pd.plotting.register.matplotlib converter, which means I'm using the plotting information related to a data frame as available in a PD. This is the first line which you normally write it, which means whenever we start a Python notebook, first thing which you want to do is we want to import these libraries. Now, I want the data file to be available to me. Herein, I'm using a function which is read underscore CSV because I have the file available as a CSV file. Hence, the function uses read underscore CSV. This is the name of the file and this is the complete path which is for the file. I have read this file using a function read underscore CSV available in a pandas library, and I have stored it in an object which is match underscore df. This match underscore df becomes a data frame. Okay. Once I have loaded the file, I really want to see whether the file was loaded completely and it was loaded the way it was in the original file. I'm doing match underscore df, which is this object name, dot head. Head is a function which by default will display me the first 5 rows of the data set. So these are the first 5 rows. In Python, the index value starts with a 0. So that's why the first row has been labeled as 0. Then I have 1, 2, 3, 4. If I do not provide anything as an argument, I get to see the first 5 rows. If I provide an argument, then I get to see the whatever the number which I provided is the number which I get to see. So if I say df head, then I get to see the first 10 rows. Okay, I can slide it like a window where I can read through what are the data points which are available. Okay, now head is giving me the top 5 rows or the number which I specify. Similar to that, I apply a tail command which tells me the last 10 or last 5 rows. Why do we do a tail? Just to ensure that the system was able to read the file completely. This is like a standard routine wherein once the file is loaded, we want to check whether the file has been loaded completely or not. The next command which I'm executing here is an info. What does the info tell me? Now, open and close bracket tells you that this is a function. I'm using an info function without providing any argument. What does the info tells me? It's a lot of information which I get to see about the data frame through an info. The first information it is giving you is this data frame has 756 rows, 0 to 755. As I said it earlier, the index value for Python starts with 0. So hence 0 to 755 means I have 756 rows available. Then it gives you the column name. It tells you whether what is a non-null count. Non-null count means I have 756 as non-null count, which means wherever the count is less than 756, it's telling me there are missing values available. So 749 is city, which means I have 7 missing values available. 752 is winner. So I have some missing values in a winner. This is what we call it as a dirty data. Okay? As a pre-processing, we are expected to make some changes in the data, which means I need to impute these missing values. That's an exercise which we might not do it today, but this is what we say as cleaning the data. But through the info, which we are able to identify whether there are some missing values in the data or not. The last column shows you a data type. So what it shows you is an integer type, object type, and these are two important type of the variables which you have it. Integer means the value is numeric in nature. 64 means it's a 64-bit. Object means it's a labeled variable, which means I have the levels or the label or the categories available in a data set. Besides this, there are two more other formats which are available in Python. One we call it as a float. Float means I have a new value with a decimal point. Then I have a date as a variable. Date, the difference between a date and any other type is there are some inbuilt functions available within the Python. If I have a variable which is a date type, I can apply those functions and make use of it. Okay. Now, what am I doing here is the first thing which comes to our mind is based on this data set, per season, who has been the winner, right? So even if I am a CSK captain, I would really like to understand per season who has been the winner of the match. So what am I doing here? I'm using a group by. Okay. What is a group by? If anybody is familiar with an Excel as an environment, you would know you do a filter and then you a further filter. So herein I am doing a group by based on a season, which means I'm grouping the records. The first grouping criteria is based on a season and then a winner. So what it will show me is, it will show me per season who has been the winner, right? So which means it is grouping the records based on a season and telling me a winner. Now, if I just do a summary DF head, this is what I get to see. So what have I done? I have created another subset which shows me season wise who has been the winner. So the first grouping is based on a season and then based on a winner. Now, once this grouping is done, I really want to see what is the size, which means how many times each team has won it. Okay? Per season, how many times each team has won it. Now, once the grouping is done, I look at a size as a variable. What does a size tell me? Size will tell me how many records do I have it. So if I look at a head, it is telling me 2008, Chennai Super King has won 9 times. So what is a size? Size means how many records do I have it, which are pertaining to per season and per winner, right? Deccan Charger have won it 2 times. Delhi Daredevils has won it 7 times. Kings 11 has won it 10 times. Now, I can look at this information in a little better way, which means I can present this information like the way we were looking at a data frame. So what have I done? I am doing a reset of the index. What is an index? Index is the way the column values are indexed or the way there is a unique identification which is given to the column number. I have given a name as number of games won. So number of games won. So the entire subset, which is a summary DF, gets indexed based on the new index value, which is a reset index, which means now I'll have a running number. And number of games won means this specific column, which was without a heading, gets a heading. I can now easily look at it. It means Chennai Super King has won 9 times. Deccan Chara has gone 2 times. So the difference between the earlier command and this command is after resetting the index and after giving a column name, I'm able to probably read this data more visually. It becomes more easy for me to read the data. Now, I want to look at only the Chennai Super King, which means I am looking at number of matches which was won by Chennai Super King per season. Because as I said, I need to look at the data from a season perspective. So what am I looking at? Summary DF, which is winner as Chennai Super King, which means from the summary DF, which was the file which I created, I am now doing a subset, which means I am defining a filter here. This filter means wherever the column value for a winner. In Python, whenever you are referring to a column name, you have to put it in a square bracket. So wherever the column winner has a value as Chennai Super King, that's what I'm storing it in this data frame, which is Chennai winning summary DF. Now I have the data set which only pertains to Chennai Super King. So I'm able to see in 2008, Chennai Super King has won 9 times. In 2009, 8 times, 10, 9 times, and 11 times. So what you are able to see here is by just using a group by command, I am able to look at how many times Chennai Super King has really won each season. I can represent this data in the form of a visual diagram. So wherein if I want a visual representation, I'm using a bar plot here, which is sns.bar plot. Bar plot, as you all know, requires only one variable, which is a season. And on the y-axis, what you get to see is a count. So usually, if I just look at it, by looking at this graph, I can easily make out that Chennai Super King has won maximum number of times in 2013. Okay. Moving on. If I am looking at which are the unique teams which are available in team 1, which means I have team 1 versus team 2. Now, these are the unique teams which I have as team 1, and these are the unique teams which I have as team 2, which means how many teams were there in the IPL. Now, I am shortlisting or I'm doing a filter wherein team 1 is Chennai Super King, which means I am filtering out all the records where team 1 is Chennai Super King. Okay. Then I want to go ahead and look at the impact of toss. Remember, we started this exercise when I said there are certain information which I want to generate out of this data set if I am a Chennai Super King captain. So the captain would like to know what is the impact of a toss on the win percentage. So Chennai match DF has how many records? It has 18 records which are available. Okay. Now, I want to know out of these 18 records, wherein the winner was Chennai Super King and match winner was also Chennai Super King, which means Chennai Super King has won the toss and they were the winner of the match as well. So what do I get? 33.7% of the time, Chennai Super King has won the match if they have won the toss. Right? How many records do I have it? I have in total 89 records, which means out of 89 records, where Chennai Super King was team 1, 33.71% of the times they have won the toss and they have won the match. Extension of this analysis is Chennai Super King lost the toss, but they won the match. Why am I doing that? Because I really want to understand if winning a toss has any impact on winning the match. So it's 23.60% of the times when Chennai Super King lost the toss, but they won the match. Okay. So now I told you that as a data scientist, it's very important that we are able to write down these interpretations. So the first interpretation, what I will write down is, our data says, if CSK wins the toss, then the chance of winning the match is more than 33%. Because out of 89 matches, CSK won 48 tosses, and out of these matches, CSK has won 30 matches, right? So I'm able to interpret that the chance of winning the match is high if CSK really wins the toss, right? Now, let's assume what is the impact of a venue on their win percentage. It means, does venue really makes a difference in terms of winning the match? So what am I doing here? I am looking at, I've just copied this file. The reason why I've copied this file, it's a good practice because if I make any change in the data set, I have the original data set available with me. So I've just created a copy of this data frame, calling it as a venue DF. I am saying venue DF dot city. What is city? City is one of the variable, one of the feature. Value count, which means I am counting how many times each city has appeared in the data set. Okay? And I'm renaming the city as a venue. And I am calling the heading or the count, which I get it as match count. So 34 times Chennai match, which means 34 times Chennai Super King has played a match in Chennai. Okay. Now, if I go down and look at it, then I can probably make a bar plot as well. The way we made it earlier also, in case you are not comfortable with the number. Now, what I want to do is, I want to find out how many times Chennai Super King has won the match against each venue. So, what you were able to see, total number of matches which Chennai Super King has played in Chennai is 34. Out of these 34 matches, 26 times Chennai Super King has won the match. Right? So what are we concluding? CSK has a record of winning matches when the city of the match is a home ground. Which means when Chennai Super King have played a match in Chennai, 76% of the time they have really won the match. Okay, so yes, venue really makes a difference, right? Now, the third aspect which we really want to, so we can again make a bar chart of it. I'm not going into that detail. What the next point which I really want to highlight here is who has been the most impactful player against each team, right? Now, Chennai Super King got an idea that if they win the toss, the chance of winning the match is high. If they play a match in their home city, which is Chennai, then the chance of winning the match is also high. Now, the next analysis we need to do is who is the most impactful player in each team. So I am pulling out the data from the original data set where winner is Chennai Super King. And I am doing a group by. I'm still on the group by clause, right? In terms of the functions which you look at it, I have just used a group by and a value count. And just by using these two functions, I'm able to generate a lot of insights. So I'm saying group by team 2, player of the match, win by runs, right? So what is the information which I'm getting? Wherever team 1 is Chennai Super King, and team 2 is some other team like a Deccan Charger or a Delhi Capitals or Delhi Daredevils. Who has been the player of the match? Which means if the opposite team was Deccan Charger, player of the match was Bollinger. The Chennai Super King has won by 38 runs, and number of times they have this guy has won the player of the match is 1, right? So against each team, I am able to identify who was declared as the player of the match and how many times this individual was declared as player of the match, right? So if I go ahead and look at the, if I just go ahead and do a consolidation, wherein I am just doing a sum of it, which means the total value, which means the Bollinger, how many times Bollinger has really been declared as player of the match and how many runs. So it's just an aggregation which I'm doing it, right? So what is the insight which I get at? If I just go ahead and look at the values, then most impactful player is SK Rana. Number of times the SK Rana has won the man of the match is 9. And number of runs, which means win by runs is 330. If I am looking at this table, which is number of times Chennai Super King played as team 1 won the match, and who was declared as the player of the match, and by how many runs. So if I'm looking at this table, I can easily make a statement Dhoni is the most impactful player because Dhoni was declared 9 times man of the match and Chennai Super King has won by 360 runs, right? So what is the next conclusion which I'm able to draw? On an average, Dhoni is the most impactful player against any team, correct? Now let's talk about the impactful player against each team. So I'm just doing a subset of that, right? So the next information, now you can see how easy it is. You have an opposite team which is available. Now opposite team is nothing but a team two, which has information about all the teams. If I do a filter pertaining to each team, wherein now here and I'm saying opposite team is Royal Challenger, right? So which means I'm just pulling out the data related to Royal Challenger. So who is the player of the match? Muralidharan. How many runs? 92. Number of times is 1. So if my match, if Chennai Super King is playing against a Royal Challenger, and when they are formulating a team, what will they do? They will ensure that Muralidharan is given a right space so that they are able to win the match, right? So now if I go along, then I am able to define per team, which means against each team, I am able to identify who should be declared as, who should be given the right chance. Are you getting it? So if I just look at it, if Royal Challenger Bangalore is the team, the number of times which I am looking at the match which was won, then I have SK Rana, which is 51 runs, number of times is 2. Muralidharan, number of runs is high, but number of times man of the match was 1. Similarly, from the same subset, if I just draw, which is Mumbai Indians, then if I arrange the data set by win by run, then I have MEK Hussain, which is 48 runs. Number of times win as a man of the match is 1. Whereas if I look at the number of times win as man of the match is high, then it is again a Rana. Okay. So what I really want to do here is just spend a time again on talking about the inferences which I am able to draw by just creating a subset with an opposite team and looking at team by team. So what is the insight which you have it? If Chennai Super King is playing against Delhi Capitals, then there is a tie between Dhoni, Bollinger, Morkel, Jadeja and Rana, as all of them have been awarded man of the match once. But in terms of winning by runs, Dhoni is the clear winner for CSK against DC. Similarly, if CSK has to play against Kings 11 Punjab, then 7 players hold the record of being man of the match in 7 matches. But if we consider BB McClellan, the match at which he was the man of the match, CSK won by 97 runs. Okay, so this is the way I'm able to draw conclusion for each team. Okay. Next point which I want to see is which is the most difficult team or which are the top 3 difficult team for CSK to beat. So how will I do that? If I just go along, then I am able to look at the Chennai match DF, the subset which I created. I am looking at the total number of matches played by Chennai. Now, instead of saying winner is Chennai Super King, what am I saying? I want to know 3 most difficult teams to beat, which means I will look at a subset to identify where Chennai Super King was not a winner. So I have just changed the syntax wherein instead of saying double equal to, wherein double equal to, I compare the values and say this is exactly matching. I'm saying not equal to. This exclamation mark and equal to is read as not equal to, which means let me know the data points where Chennai Super King was not a winner. So what do I have? I have 38 matches where Chennai Super King has lost it, right? So out of the total number of 89 records, there are 38 records or 38 times Chennai Super King actually lost it. Now I want to know the most difficult. So what will I do? This subset which I created as Chennai Super King, I will arrange it in a descending order wherein I will say number of times lost and the rival team, right? So what have I done? Rival team is nothing but the opposite team, right? Number of times lost is 7, which means the most difficult team for Chennai Super King is Kolkata Knight Riders because, or the Mumbai Indians, because they have lost 7 times. Then you have Rajasthan Royals, then you have Delhi Daredevils, right? Again, I want to highlight a point here that the original subset which we created, if I want to find the winner, then I have said double equal to. If I want to find the uh, number of times Chennai Super King has lost it, then I'll just say not equal to as a winner. Impact of toss on their win percentage against the 3 most difficult teams. Okay. Now we understood. We are just building the story ahead. We understood which are the most difficult teams. Now we want to just combine it. We want to see, is there any impact of on the toss, which means if I win the toss, does my winning percentage varies with these 3 most difficult teams? So what am I doing here? I am saying a toss winner, toss decision and winner. On what basis have I selected these variables? Because I want to understand the impact of toss on winning, right? Which means the toss decision, which means whether I decided to field or I decided to bat, and the winner. So what do I see here? Team 1 will remain as Chennai Super King. Team 2 was Mumbai Indians. Toss winner was Chennai Super King. Chennai Super King decided to bat. And if they have done that, which means if they have won the toss and have decided to bat, then 3 times they have won the match. Chennai Super King has won 3 times. Okay. If I look at the another record wherein I have 2 records wherein Chennai Super King has won the toss, they decided to bat, but winner was Mumbai Indians, which means more number of times if they decide to bat, they have won the match against Mumbai Indians. Okay. If I look at this, which is they have won the Mumbai Indians have won the toss, which means Chennai Super King has lost it. Mumbai Indians decided to field. So Chennai Super King was still batting. But so when the Chennai Super King was batting, but they lost the toss, 2 times they have won it, right? 5 times they have lost it. So yes, winning the toss and a decision on whether they really want to bat or they really want to field makes a difference in terms of the number of times Chennai Super King has won it. So what is the conclusion which I'm drawing here? If I am playing or if a Chennai Super King is playing against a Mumbai Indians, out of 12 times CSK has played against Mumbai Indians, they have won the toss 5 times. All 5 times they chose to bat the first and won it. Hence, CSK should always choose to bat first if they win a toss against Mumbai Indians. Okay. Similar kind of a conclusion, I can draw it if I extend this for a different team. So let's assume if I'm looking at Kolkata Knight Riders, then if Chennai Super King has won the toss and if they decided to bat, then 3 times the winner was Chennai Super King, right? And 4 times was Kolkata Knight Riders. So when KKR win the toss, they have a bigger chance of winning as per the data, right? It's not the Chennai Super King, it's the KKR, which is a Kolkata Knight Rider which is winning it. Okay. So what are the suggestions which we can give? So based on the analysis which we have done till now, if they win the toss, what should they opt for, bat or a ball against each team? Considering their toss decision win ratio. So suggestions for CSK is, if you are playing against Delhi Capitals, CSK should choose to bat because 4 times CSK has won the match by choosing to bat. Out of 5 times they have won the toss. Okay. If they are playing against Delhi Daredevils, then CSK should choose to bat 4 times They should choose to bat. Why? Because four times CSK has won the match by choosing to match out of the seven toss wins. If it is King 11 Punjab, then CSK again should choose to bat because six times they have won the match. If CSK is against the Kolkata Knight Riders, then they should field, not bat. Because four times CSK has lost the match if they have decided to bat it. Okay. So today's focus was more on the CSK, but I'm sure you would have realized by using the same set of commands, if I just change the team one to Kolkata Knight Riders or Delhi Daredevils, similar kind of insights I can generate it by using the same kind of a Python notebook. It's the inference which I draw, it will make a difference because now all my inferences, all my outcomes would be related to what which is the team which I've decided to look at it. Okay. So that's all I thought I'll just discuss it with you in the masterclass. Over to you, Mahima.
Thank you so much, Anjana, for such a wonderful session. If anybody has any questions regarding to this webinar, please feel free to put down your questions into the Q&A section.
Mahima, there are certain queries. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll just take them one by one and I'll try to answer them. So Gagan Sharma has a query. Hello, ma'am. What type specific industries except IT are changing their self towards data science? So Gagan, it's not the IT industry which is changing towards data science. It's every business which is moving towards a data science. Let me just take an example with you. If you are talking about a bank, then bank really want the data scientists to come in and talk about that what is the chance of somebody defaulting on a loan? Should I be approving this credit card application or not? What kind of a risk portfolio do I have it? What kind of investment suggestions can I give it to my customers? If I am, let's assume I'm in a telecommunication industry, then the industry would like to know what is the chance of somebody churning out, right? What kind of a customers they probably leave the telecom industry. So every industry is nowadays making use of the information which they already have it, and that's where they really require data scientists. Okay. I have some of the queries which are on the chat window. Uh, so I am passed out from IIT BHU. Currently, I am doing an internship on AIML. Is any possible chance of getting internship in Hero? So that's where the Hero would probably would be able to answer it. Uh, as far as the data set and the code is concerned, Mahima would be the right person to answer that well with how and when it will be shared.
We have one question in the Q&A section as well, where Gagan is asking, hello ma'am, what type of specific industry except IT are changing their self towards data science?
So this is what I've answered, Gagan, Mahima. So
Yeah.
that's where I said that it's not just the IT industry, it's every industry is probably changing. And you should not relate data science with an IT because every domain, every industry is looking for the expertise so that they can make use of the available information.
Coming towards the data set and the code, post the webinar, our learning consultants and the team will be connecting with you and they will be helping you out with more details regarding to this. Also, if anybody is interested to know more about the programs that is offered by Hero Wired in the domain of data science, our team will be getting in touch with you. So that brings us to the end of this webinar. Thank you so much, Anjana, for being onboarded for this webinar. It was lovely to have you on board. Thank you,
My
everyone,
pleasure.
for being a lovely audience. We'll be getting back to you with another exciting webinar. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Thank you so much, Anjana.
Thank you so much, guys. I hope the session was useful. Thanks a lot for joining in. Thank you so much. Have a good day.